Look, this is a weird point in my life. I don't know what I'm doing. The only thing I seem to derive any amount of pleasure from is my polymer clay endeavors. So, in an attempt to feel, we're going to Swan Lake. Like any girl growing up in the 2000s, I watched the direct-to-VHS and later DVD, oh my god, Barbie animated movies. These things are classic, and while I haven't watched most of them in years, I remember the feelings they gave me. Though I did recently re-watch Magic of the Pegasus with a friend, and there's something so charming about it. It feels fake, but in the way that a playground is fake. Like a set lovingly crafted to explore and adventure in. Barbie of Swan Lake is the third animated Barbie film, released in 2003. Like every other Barbie movie, it is perfect and without flaw. But we aren't talking about the movie. I tricked you. It's gamer time. Barbie of Swan Lake, The Enchanted Forest is a PC game that was released in 2003 alongside the film. I don't remember when I got this game, but I was probably around 5. I remember playing it at my grandparents' house, so that would be 2 years after the game and movie released, but anyway, I'm playing it again. The game begins and we see a unicorn named Lila is in a room that is only referred to once as the vault, and my game doesn't seem to want to properly render this part. My disc is pretty old. Maybe a little dirty. Anyway, this big orb of magic breaks, and the enchanted forest gets dechanted, and the narrator fairy is like, I'll get the fairy queen. And Lila is like, haha, no need, let's just go get Odette. And I forgot if the fairy queen was a character in the movie, but based on this alone, I am going to assume she is the classical kind of fae that will curse anyone who even slightly displeases her to suffer a fate worse than death. Lila is stuck on an island, and before we can save her, we have to put more creatures on the island. I decide to depict a heartbreaking scene of a little red bird being discriminated against by a crowd of bluebirds. Meanwhile, a fox is waiting for its meal as it consumes the outcasts. The reflection comes back, scrambles, I fix it, we get the horse off the island. Here's the deal. We got a picnic to get to, and if the forest is all out of whack, we can't have our picnic, which is obviously the most important thing about this situation. There are 2 different aspects to this game. Each of the 5 main areas has a minigame to play, as well as hidden items needed to create 5 different magic wands that you use to re-enchant the forest. Find the ingredients, pop them in the jar, tap them in the right order, and bam! Flower wand. Drag it around, and the forest is filled with flowers in no time. Quite frankly, the wands are the best part of this game. They are what I remember most about playing it as a kid, and there was a real joy in trying every different wand in every different location and seeing what new things would pop up. Why am I talking about this in past tense? It's still fun. I adore this even now. Next stop is the flower tree, and
I wonder what I did now. Whoops!
Anyway, we have to find 4 musical flowers that all play the same song. And I love how these things are animated. It's so good. After a quick music preview, we find more items, whap bam boom, and we get the fairy wand. Let's enchant this dang forest. Next, we go to the Fairy Valley. Here, I went right for the wand materials, and I got stuck for a while. While everything is gray, some items are really hard to find, like the eggshells. But I found it! This game for 5-year-olds won't beat me today! Slam that stuff in a jar and sparkle wand. Going to actually fix the fairy painting, this is one of my favorite parts. Not because of the gameplay, it doesn't even let you free draw, but because the concept of this brush alone and the setting was so alluring to me as a kid and as an adult. Dipping the magic brush into the rainbow water to absorb the color, it's so charming. After dusting the line art, I can color this image any way I choose. There are a couple different pictures that the image could be, but this time I got a hedgehog. Porcupine? It's probably a porcupine. Regardless, I made it Sonic. After momentarily getting lost because this map is cracked as hell, we make it to the swan's nest. The eggs fell out of the nest, and we have to put them back in a certain order. Something about the colors or shapes having to match, I don't know, but the babies hatch, and they're kind of cute, and they're hungry, so we give them bread. And I don't know if it's just me, but I have always wanted to eat this bread. Like, oh, the way it crumbles as the swans eat it is so appealing, and I want to have some. While the swans nap, we gather the wand materials.
The bottles are sparkling with magic.
Rainbow wand. Slap this place with rainbows and move on to the crystal door. This is the final area of the forest, and just beyond the door is the location of the moonlight picnic. Get the stuff?
We've added all the right items to that bottle. We've added all the right items to that bottle.
And we get the itsy bitsy wand. This adds little critters everywhere, but only the whimsically cute ones. Time to help the fairies light their lanterns, which includes multicolored fireflies, which I guess theoretically could be possible depending on the chemicals within the fireflies. I'm not sure how that would work entirely, but now I'm thinking too hard about it. Anyway, spin the lanterns and gather the fireflies in the right color. This is the most skill-based game, I guess. It's mostly a waiting game as you watch the fireflies not fly up into the lantern, then all of a sudden one comes out of nowhere and you gotta spin the lantern to get to the right color, and god damn it, they don't get in! The worst is when two different fireflies are coming at you at the same time, but their colors are on opposite sides of the wheel, and you just sit there like, how do you expect children to do this? How did I do this? Put the lanterns on the houses and do it again one more time. And we're ready to go to the picnic. But first, I want to go back and fully explore what each of the wands can do in each area. Also, because I'm thinking way too hard, I'm going to make a wand tier list because that's apparently the best way for me to communicate my thoughts. The flower wand is a solid B tier. It's nothing spectacular. It makes flowers and that's about it. Though sometimes it is a little weird. Like this one spot by the flower tree, it creates a little pot of flowers, but like, why don't you just have a bush? Why is there like just a pot by a river? Yeah, it's a little weird. Not to mention, but regardless of what wand you use, once you've enchanted the forest enough, a bunch of flowers bloom no matter what, but it's a solid wand. Good for a first start. Next is the fairy wand, and it is, objectively, the best. This game's aesthetic of fairies is all golden swirls with this sort of opalescent purplish white texture. Not only that, but it is more versatile than you'd think. Not only does it have the golden swirl aesthetic, but it also does mushrooms and other foresty things in certain spots. My only complaint is sometimes the shining gold stands out a bit too much, even for an enchanted forest. But for the most part, S tier. Sparkle wand. By sparkle, it means crystals, jewels, and to my delight, occasionally stained glass. I like the idea of this one on principle, but some of the changes feel too unnatural. Like, the tree in Swan Lake just gets super polygonal. Most of the time, it just looks like the third Pokemon movie happened here. But it does add some nice pops of color, and I have a deep appreciation for all the stained glass. A tier. Speaking of color, next is the rainbow wand, and wow, is it June? Because Pride Month is the only other time I see this many rainbows. While I would normally be super here for it, the saturation is just a bit too much for me. Not to mention the clouds that you create clashes with the natural parts of the forest that you can't change. Though I will say, the areas that are just given a subtle pop of color is, super nice. Let's go C tier. And finally, the Itsy Bitsy wand. Now, with its name and appearance, you would think it only makes bug-related things, but then we go over to Swan Lake and it makes a family of turtles, which, yeah, okay, turtles are little critters, but then it also makes a statue of a swan. Swans are not small critters. That's a whole waterfowl. I'm sad that by little critters it mainly means butterflies, dragonflies, ladybugs, you know, the girly critters. But this is a Barbie game and it was 2003. I'm just saying there needs to be more frogs, more toads, and more bees. But this one little snail guy is very cute. D tier. No F tier, because their powers combined, we can create the prettiest forest ever. Also, this game is such a delight and nothing in it could ever be F tier. Anyway, we make it to the moonlight picnic. Everything is here! The baby swans, the musical flowers, and the painting. After a quick enchanting, we are given a special wand that can change day into night. But first, I gotta make sure everything is perfect. There. Perfect. Everything in this game is randomized, from the wand materials to their locations, to which flowers will play the right music, what painting you'll get, and what the swan eggs look like. Great for repeat playthroughs. Jokes aside though, this is not a hard game. Absolute shocker, I know. But playing this has always been a comfort to me, and it still is. If you put a gun to my head and tell me I have to make complaints, it is annoying how you can't, switch profiles mid-game. You click the back button and it's all, are you sure you want to leave? And you hit yes and it closes the whole program. So then you gotta boot it back up and it's like, come on, man. Also, once you go through the crystal door at the end, you are stuck there. You can't explore the forest anymore, so just change up the picnic area however you want. The game doesn't tell you that this is the point of no return. Mega sucky. This game is pure, girly pop comfort, but not in the hyper-glamorized, hip and trendy fashion, everything is pink kind of way, though that is a vibe I enjoy on occasion. But the setting of an enchanted forest, creating magical wands and weird potion bottles, the overly saturated set pieces those wands create, I remember vividly imagining being in this world, walking through the forest, creating the wands, dancing with the flowers and fairies. There's something subtly, but distinctly feminine about it all. Joyfully feminine. Barbie of Swan Lake, The Enchanted Forest, is a good game. It's calm, comforting, delightful, and quite frankly, it radiates joy. If you grew up playing it like I did, I recommend trying to find your copy and playing it again. Or find an emulation online. Just for funsies, I want to shout out some YouTubers who specifically take looks at media and internet stuff from roughly this area, if anyone else is interested in diving deeper. Lee Speaks is super good, and Izzy's has a bunch of different videos on a bunch of different things. So, yeah. Also, for some reason, I'm hyper-fixated on getting the world record for speedrunning this game. Go to speedrun.com to see if I've done that.